Canada, Norway, Russia, Indonesia, China, Japan, the US, and many more have crazy long coastlines, all multiple thousands of kilometers. But did you know the GTA 5 map also has a coastline which is thousands of kilometers long? Okay, I know right now you might be confused. How could the coastline be that long if the map is so small? And you're right, the map is crazy small. It is only 75 square kilometers. For reference, 75 square kilometers overlaid on Amsterdam looks like this. And if we zoom out, we see that on a global scale it is, well, incredibly small. If we compare it to Paris, we see that it's only a fraction of the city. Also in London, it is tiny. And if we go across the pond, we can see that it's truly small compared to the massive cities in the US, such as New York. Matter of fact, it perfectly fits in even the San Francisco Bay. And compared to real life Los Angeles, 75 square kilometers is, well, nothing. But knowing this, how can it have a coastline that is longer than, for example, Norway's coastline? Well, the answer is quite simple. Scale. What do I mean with scale? I mean the scale of the measuring of the coastline. Okay, let me explain with a visual. Here we have Iceland, which as we can see is much bigger than the GTA 5 map. So when we measure the coastline, we can do it like this. Just very roughly using big steps of multiple hundreds of kilometers. And this, as you can see in the end, gives us a coastline of roughly 1,846 kilometers. However, I think we can all tell this is terrible and not accurate at all. Okay, so let's do it again, but this time a bit more precise. So this time I'm clicking add a lot more points, so that it more accurately traces the outline of the island. This part I'm gonna speed up a bit, but we can see it quickly increases in distance. And at this point we see it already overtook the original measurement we did, and we still have a bunch of area to go. And if we continue a little bit more, we see that in the end it measures a distance of 2,790 kilometers, which is almost 1,000 more than our original. From a distance, this one is way more accurate and looks a lot better. However, even this one is still not that accurate, as we can see when we zoom in. All these little areas could be mapped out even better, and every time we would improve this area, it would get longer and longer. In the next visual I'm going to show how extreme we can make this. A rough line is going to be about 2.3 kilometers. Now we're going to trace every little crook. As you can see, the line is starting to wrinkle massively. And already after just a tiny bit of time, we're at 2 kilometers. And now that we get to the end, we almost doubled the length at 4 kilometers. And this isn't even as precise as we can get. This is just as precise as the program allows. And if the program would allow it, I could zoom even more and make smaller and smaller lines, increasing this distance essentially indefinitely. And this is exactly the reason why GTA 5's map has such a long coastline. If you go to the beach and measure every single edge of every rock, every little pebble, every grain of sand, we could measure the coastline at distance far greater than any country in real life. Of course, we have to be a little bit cheesy and use a different way of measuring in real life, but you know what I mean, we could technically do it. However, besides the scale of measurement, there is a second problem when measuring a coastline: the definition. As you could see on the test before, I simply drew the lines where the land and water met. However, outside of a map we can see that this place isn't very clear, especially on a small scale. Is the coastline the beach? If so, how do we account for tides? Also, what do we do about erosion, as every wave will take away a bit of sand? For this reason, measuring a coastline is essentially impossible. This is also why when you try and Google a coastline, you get multiple results that vary massively. Because in reality, different organizations just use different definitions and also different scales. But then again, in the end, it doesn't really matter how long a coastline is. It's just a little fun fact you can throw at your friends. It's called the coastline paradox, by the way. Anyways, this was the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.